What's up guys, it's Mike from Job Read English here with a compilation of the best answers to the best interview questions in 2022. How will you manage a conflict between you and your colleague? Conflict resolution questions are really common. There's a lot of behavioural questions or competency questions which are asked in Grant Thornton's video interview. Now, how do we answer these? We use the STAR format: situation, task, action, result. Where basically something happened, what was the task that we had to do, what were the actions that we took, which demonstrate that we're really good at resolving that skill, and what was the result that we can show to show that we successfully resolved that. So whenever we're talking about conflict, we want to break this down really simply. Conflict is basically a disagreement. Two people want to do things in a different way. 4 people, 2 people, 2 people. Okay, cool. So they want to do something in a different way. It could be you had an angry customer. This is quite relevant if you've had a service job, particularly if you were in the food industry. You'll know that hungry people can be when they're hungry and very demanding. With this, first of all, what's important? Well, listen to what the problem is. Let that person calm down. If you can deal with them one-to-one, all the better. Sometimes trying to resolve a conflict amongst people can actually be quite shaming, and that person could become even more angry and even more upset because they feel like they're being shamed or they're being undermined. And then we try and move towards a solution, we communicate that solution, and the result being we found your solution, we remade your food order, we have ordered you a new product, we've given you a refund, whatever that may be. Tell me about a time you made a mistake. Now this is an example of a negative question. So what do we mean by this? Well, a negative question is basically asking you to sort of show a weakness, to show that you are a flawed human being. But a time that you made a mistake, so you should have one example. We can answer questions like, what's your biggest weakness, a time that you made a mistake, failed to meet a deadline, and so on and so forth. Now this is a really good way for you to show what you've learned. Now everybody makes mistakes. If you made a mistake, for example, you failed a module or you submitted a report at work and it wasn't very good, the crucial part within this question is basically learning, what did you learn? What are the things that you put into place to really show that you have learned from your mistake, and then saying, well, I submitted a report to my boss and he actually said that I really rushed it, there were multiple mistakes and I hadn't done exactly what he told him. So what I made sure I did next time is that I actually went through all of his feedback. I wrote out a checklist for the things that I had to go through before submitting the report. And when I submitted my next report, my boss really praised me for my attention to detail and that I'd taken on board his feedback. How do you prioritize tasks? So this is very similar to how do you multitask or how do you manage your time? Now you want to use an example using STAR, which is situation, task, action, result. Where were you? Situation. What were you doing? Task. Action. What did you do to fulfill that task? Result. What was the success that you achieved through that result? Now most of you watching this, if you're studying, then you will be familiar with the whole, I've got multiple deadlines, I've got work to do, I've got societies. And if you're working, then you'll be familiar with the, I've got work to do and I've got multiple projects to do. Because very few people when they work only ever have one thing to do. Now talk me through an example of you doing that. Now maybe I would suggest that there should be at least 3 tasks or 3 things to do. So of these 3 tasks, how do you decide which one is more important? How do you manage your time? And how do you make sure that these tasks get done? How would you deal with explaining your concepts? Now the crux of the idea behind this question is, can you explain complex things in a simple way? This is something that a lot of technicians or knowledge workers really struggle with. They will have a complicated concept, and say you're trying to explain to a client, I'm a business owner, and when I go to meet our accountants, they do a really good job of explaining things to me in a simple way that I can understand, because I don't understand accounting. I understand the basics of cash flow management, profit and loss, and taxes and these types of things. And what they tend to do is use analogies like this is like this, or just explain it in a really simple way. And say, well, this basically means that you're going to have to pay this much money because this is a fee to do with this. Oh, well, why do I have to pay that? Well, because that's the law. Oh, okay.
I understand. So dealing with explaining new concepts to somebody could be, say, for example, you're trying to teach somebody something at work. You're trying to teach somebody something to use a new software that you're having to do during a group project. How do you break that down? Well, actually what you tend to do is you tend to do step by step. You tend to explain the core concept, like why are we doing this? Because that keeps people motivated. This is how we do it. And also we may document that process or actually do that with them once or twice. Whenever I'm showing somebody who I work with how to do something, I tend to jump on a Zoom. I do it, I ask them to do it, I see them do it, and then I document the process so they have a reference point that they can come back to. What is your biggest achievement recently? Now, for everybody that's going to be different, but what I really encourage you to do is to choose a biggest achievement that is genuine and resonates with you. And I'll explain why I'm saying this. I often hear answers which are, to be honest, not true. So they might be, well, I wrote a report at work. Now that could be true, but it probably isn't. That's probably not your biggest achievement. That's not the thing that, late at night when you think, damn, it's been a good month. Like I did this and this and this. It's not going to be you wrote a report. I mean, it could be, I wrote a report and it was presented to XYZ person. That's cool. But try to pick something that really does mean something to you, like you'd share it with your mum or your dad or your family and friends. Not something that you believe that we want to hear, i.e. an employer.
Guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop us a comment down below and let us know, was this helpful? How could we make it better? What other videos would you like us to do? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I wish you the best of luck in getting your job. See you later.